And I know Denise isn't feeling well. Do you have the flag that you can put up?
I do.
Excellent. So the first thing we're going to do is Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to do this a little differently this time, where I will be the only one speaking. Everybody else stay on mute so that we don't have the rolling echo, and it maybe sounds a little bit better on Zoom. So we will go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let me get myself ready here. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. And if you could all remain standing, please. Sorry. On Monday, the president actually held a moment of silence because we hit an unfortunate mark in the United States, which was over 500,000 Americans who've died from COVID-19. So we felt it was necessary for us to also recognize that moment of silence tonight at our meeting. So if you could just bow your heads, close your eyes for a few moments in recognition of those who have been impacted and those who've lost their lives. Okay, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and get comfortable for the meeting now. We will, oops, my table needs to come down. We will start with opening announcements. Denise, are you okay to do these?
Sure. Just as a reminder, this evening's meeting is being live recorded on CNET's YouTube channel. You can ask any questions that you have there, or you're welcome to ask them when the time is appropriate. We will also, if you signed up for the webinar, you'll get a link for that as well after the meeting. The township is asking residents to sign up for our email listserv. Even if you've done it in the past, we switched over to a new email service. And when we did that, we lost our original email. You can just click the Contact Us button on the homepage. We're also looking for volunteers for our various boards and committees. We've got some vacancies. If you're interested in any of these, please contact us or the township website and we can give you more information.
Wonderful. And I just have two additional announcements that I wanted to make. The Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors had a joint meeting last week, and I just wanted to thank everyone for their attendance in that meeting. It's been a long time since we had a joint meeting, so it was great to see the Planning Commission and meet the new folks as well. All members of the Planning Commission were in attendance, and that's Lauren, Andrew, Jeff, Joe, Marty, and Ricky. And I think 3 of the 5 of us supervisors were in attendance, myself, Patty, and Bob. So we are looking forward to more frequent discussions with the Planning Commission and to keep that open line of communication to ensure that we're all on the same page with ensuring a safe, healthy township. And I think our next meeting is going to be sometime in June. So we're going to do quarterly joint meetings. So we're looking forward to that. Final reminder and announcement that I just wanted to make. Everyone should be receiving their tax bills. And with your tax bill is, I don't even know if you can see it here, very important tax information. So just want to make sure that we highlight for everyone to pay attention to their tax bill this year, make sure that they understand the notice. And also, if you use your escrow and your mortgage company, pay attention to the stamp that's on your tax statement as well. If you normally have your tax bill sent to your mortgage company, just make sure that that is still happening appropriately. If you have any questions about your tax bill, please contact the tax collector. The information is on your bill. So next up, we have citizen comments. So if there's any comments from citizens about items that are not already on the agenda, we will entertain them now. No? Okay, we will move along then to the approval of the agenda. So what we do is we look at the agenda. If there's anything we want to add, remove, change, this is our opportunity to agree on what those changes will be for the agenda. If there are no changes that anyone would like to request, let's go ahead and have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
I'll move that we approve tonight's agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Sorry, I was having microphone problems.
That's okay. Thanks, Bob. There's a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, we'll go ahead and continue on with the agenda this evening. We don't have any subdivision or development plans to look at, so the first main item is the approval of the minutes from our January 28th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes from the January 28th meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you, Patty. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, all those in favor of approval?
Hello, can everybody hear me now?
Oh, yes, Ron, we can.
Okay, I don't know what the problem was. I was going to make comments on the part for citizen comments.
Sure.
But I couldn't get
If you could hold
system
on 1 second, we'll get back to you.
All right.
Okay, so all those in favor of approving the minutes from January 28th?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, great. We will jump back to citizen comments. Go ahead, Ron, you had a comment?
Yeah, I have a question
Mhm.
with regard to the tax increase
Mhm.
and a comment. My question is, why wasn't the tax increase, the plan for a tax increase made part of a public hearing
It was.
for citizen input?
It was in
A
December.
public hearing.
Yes,
There was a public hearing in December.
that is correct. Every budget season there is, yes.
Well, that's for budgets.
Well, that's where the discussion of the tax was, because it's part of the budget increase. So that's when it occurred. And
Well-
that was publicized.
Okay, I separate budget increases or budget discussions from tax increases, millage increases, that's a significant action. And I
we
believe
made
that it
significant
needs,
communication efforts as well. There was a special letter that went out as well, and it was.
I didn't get any
posted on-
letter about a tax increase.
Not
I got
a-
no letter
sorry,
about a
sorry,
tax.
Not a postal letter. I apologize. It was posted on the website.
On the website. Now,
Mhm.
we have an email list that we try to keep updated. And why not send something out by email on something as significant as a tax increase, or a better attempt to communicate that? This is not something, and it's not just a little increase, it's a substantial increase. It's probably the largest increase I've ever seen in my time in Halfmoon Township.
And we
So-
really spent a lot of time and effort talking about the communication efforts around this.
Well, I don't think, I think you guys just got together and decided to raise taxes to suit whatever spending agenda you had. Okay, and I don't believe that you did a very good job to communicate that. But the comment I have, though, let's just move from that, because it doesn't matter what I have to say. But let's just move from that to the other part. I did get the tax bill in the mail the other day, and I got this little note with it too. And I found the note to be quite insulting, actually. And what it says, and the reason why I say that, it says, we'd like to take this opportunity to remind you that during the 2021 public budget approval process, there was a general fund tax increase of 1.69 mils, so on and so forth. Well, we don't attend, people don't attend every township meeting. Okay, I know they're welcome to attend the meetings, but considering the current situation with COVID-19, and we can't have face-to-face discussions, we're supposed to somehow divine that there's something significant that we need to attend to. And I think that's disingenuous. I really think it's unfair to the taxpayers to stick a tax increase on them and then send something like this in the mail, a tax bill. My taxes went up almost 100%. And that's just township taxes. I can't wait to see what the school district did. Okay, so, you guys need to take into account the fact that we aren't communicating like we used to communicate in person. I can't come into a meeting and confront you in a meeting and say what I need to say to you in a meeting. Okay, I have to do this remotely. And that's just unfair to to pass on something as significant as a major tax increase without a lot of public discussion, without saying, look, we're going to increase taxes big time, and you people need to know about it. And, you know, we need to have this discussion. Okay, it said we get a tax bill and it's 100% increase.
Ron,
I
we
mean,
would
hey,
love to hear
I'm
any
not, I'm just,
suggestions.
to say I'm upset is just understating the situation.
I understand. We would love to hear any suggestions you have. Like I said, you could ask any of the supervisors from October through December. We had our budget meetings where every meeting we did discuss taxes. Those minutes, those agendas, things were posted on the Facebook pages, the website, the listserv. If you, honestly, if you have suggestions on how we can reach everybody in some
Email
timely-
list. I just gave you one.
That's what the listserv that we had was emailed.
Okay, well, you know what? I didn't get anything by email. And I have actually even updated and kept current my email address. Okay, only to find this by surprise. The only reason why I knew about this is because we had an organizational meeting for the auditors, and Denise mentioned this in our meeting, our organizational meeting in January. That's the only reason, that's the only way I knew we were having a tax increase. And I'm an auditor, and I didn't even know. You know, the thing is, I try to be in tune or up to date with what the township is doing. I'm having some difficulty doing that. Okay, but something as significant as a tax increase needs to be communicated very publicly. And under the certain circumstances, if we had regular township meetings, I would be there, but I can't be there because you don't have them.
Ron.
We do.
These aren't regular township meetings. These are not regular township meetings.
Okay,
Mr.
I'm not
Cervello,
here to
I'm sorry.
argue
These
with
are
you,
virtual
Ron.
meetings.
Ron, I'm not here to argue with you. They are virtual, but these are our regular meetings, whether they're virtual or.
I understand. Technically, you're right, because you guys can do this stuff. But what I'm telling you, it's different than being in person and being able to talk to people, actually real people in the room. The circumstances have changed significantly.
Back in October, when we started having our budget meetings and started talking about taxes, we actually were in person.
And when did you decide that you were going to raise taxes?
The approval for
December?
it happened in October, and we put out notices for people, if you have interest, to come to that public meeting to provide us feedback.
And where were those notices sent?
Already told you, Facebook, website, and listserv.
Okay, but listserv, meaning emails.
Yes.
Well, I didn't get one because I have a current account with the township. I didn't get any emails from the township.
Okay, we can.
That's my method of communicating under these circumstances.
We definitely hear you. Like I said, what we would love to hear is if you have some other suggestions on how we can communicate differently. It's very difficult, you all know, to try and reach everybody all the time. We use the systems that we have in place. If they are not working, we would love to hear some suggestions on what other things might work.
Now, I think something like a tax increase should be at a public hearing in the public.
There was a public hearing.
There was a public hearing.
Now,
So if
I'm
there's
sorry,
another
but I
way
didn't.
that we can get that information to you. Do you have a
It was
suggestion?
advertised also in the paper.
Well, I don't get a newspaper.
Do you have a suggestion on how else we can communicate to you?
Email.
Okay.
It's the only way you can communicate, or in person.
Okay, we will double check the emails and we will see if every meeting that we've had for the past, how long, Denise, we have asked everybody to make sure that we have updated email addresses. That is
And
up
I've
to
done
every
that.
township individual to make sure that we have that.
Yeah.
And we will make sure that that's a.
I've done it every time. I've made sure that my email's up to date.
Okay, we can
And
double
you can
check
ask
and-
Denise, because first of all, I'm an auditor and we need to communicate.
We will make
Denise,
sure.
is that not true that I've
Do
updated
you
my
have
email?
another comment, Ron?
I don't.
We definitely hear your frustration about communication. It is never easy.
Oh, you're going to hear a lot more than just mine.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. And like I said, we are definitely willing to hear if there are suggestions on how we can communicate better, for sure. So thank you.
Okay. Mhm.
Is there anyone else that has a comment? Don't forget to take yourself off mute if you do. Is it like raise your hand or something so we know? Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move along on the agenda then. So that was public comment. We had to go back to that. So we are down to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is such that it has a list of bills from the past month. And if there are any questions from the supervisors on any particular item, we can pull that out of the consent agenda. And if not, we can just approve the consent agenda in bulk. Because I think most of
I
us. have
move that
seen
we
the
approve
bills.
the consent agenda.
Thank you, Dave. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, great. Consent agenda is approved and we will get those bills paid. In old business, I don't think we have any update on the property maintenance code. Is that correct?
Nothing as of right now. We're still working towards getting a draft together.
Lovely. And the next item is around the establishment of a fire protection bank account. And that is in direct correlation to the new fire tax levy that was just approved. So there is a memo. And Denise, is this just an FYI? We don't have to do a motion on this, correct?
Yes, we do, because we're going to be developing a new account.
Thank you.
So this is my memo to the board. We contacted a bunch of financial institutions, including some credit unions, to find out about when we establish the fire protection tax. We need to open up a separate bank account that keeps those funds as its own special levy.
Mhm.
And in doing so, and what I missed in here is actually we contacted PNC Bank, but they did not respond either. But we wanted to make sure that we had an apples to apples comparison and that everything was Act 72 compliant and we were getting the best rate that was available, despite the fact that rates are not great on any type of bank account right now. If you look at the comparison chart, after talking to our auditors, of course, we still want paper statements with the front and back images of checks. We want the ability to do some online banking with limitations there. Whether or not there were transaction limits with the account that they suggested, whether it was a money market account or a checking account, and the minimum balance to open and then the minimum balance to earn interest. Our suggestion, based off of the banks and credit unions that were contacted, is to open a public funds money market account with First National Bank to house our fire services tax.
So if we want to get this conversation started, if someone would like to make that motion, then we can open up for discussion.
I'll move that we establish a bank account with First National Bank for the purposes of establishing a separate account for the tax levy for the fire department.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dave. Now we'll open up for discussion. Does anyone have any questions about the information or choosing of First National Bank?
Do we currently use First National for our other accounts, or?
We do not. This would be the first account we would open with First National Bank.
How were they when getting information as far as developing a relationship with them? Do you have any concerns or questions?
No, in fact, I was very impressed. They came recommended from another municipality locally, actually 2 municipalities locally recommended them specifically. When I reached out, they provided a very professional proposal, despite the fact I said it could be quite informal at this stage. And they also are willing to do for free, to establish a relationship banking where twice a year they will be evaluating the account for us to determine if it's still the correct product based on our needs.
Wonderful. It's good to have good references for a bank.
Under transaction limits, what's that? Reg D limitation?
Reg D is a federal limitation. It states it's a limitation on any type of savings account. The reason that the feds do that is because savings accounts are for savings and checking accounts are for moving money. This would be a savings account because we would only have at most 4 transactions coming out in a quarter. Our limitations on this would be 3 withdrawals per month or 6 transactions per month, but we will be well below that, as this will be the fire company, and we do quarterly transactions, and we only have 2 that will be coming out. If the board so chooses, after we develop this account and start collecting some of that tax, if there's additional funds and you'd like to make a motion and approve that additional funds get distributed, we'd still be under those limitations.
Good. Does anyone else have any questions?
Is the $5,000 minimum balance an issue?
No, our quarterly, our first, we'll be depositing the first quarter contribution, I think over 12,000. So.
Yeah, and that's the first deposit. But then as we forward that money to the fire department, is there any chance we would dip below that and end up with penalties?
No, we'll be okay on the penalties, or service fees, as you would call them.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of choosing F&B Bank to establish our fire protection fund bank account, all say aye.
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 Okay, that's everybody. Excellent. We can move along to the next item, which is a resolution and a letter of support for the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy and Partners. And which one do you want to pull up? I guess the resolution first. And actually, I think I have this up. I did want to actually read this so that we know what it is, because basically, instead of talking about it, we can just read the resolution. I can just read it because it basically says everything in it.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, Danelle, can I interrupt
yeah.
you just for a moment?
Yes.
I believe our next thing is the
Oh.
Spring Creek Watershed payment.
Sorry, totally missed it. Yep, you're right. So we are a member of the Spring Creek Watershed, and we have an annual contribution totaling 10 cents per person in the township, which is $267. So this is to approve that 2021 payment authorization to Spring Creek Watershed Commission, sorry. So we just need a motion for that.
I move to approve the distribution of $267 for Clearwater, or to the Spring Creek Watershed Commission.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I just want to make note real quick that this was one of the items when we did budget cuts as a board. We cut everything we possibly could. This was something that was cut, but in doing so, we actually ended up making it so that we wouldn't be members of the Spring Creek Watershed. So this is something that has not been budgeted for the year, but should not have been slashed.
Yeah, I think we accidentally did that because we cut the donation amount. This we should not have cut because we are members of the Spring Creek Watershed.
Correct.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Oh, I'm sorry.
gonna be
Did I hear?
opposed.
Sorry. Go ahead, Dave. You said opposed?
I'm opposed. Unless we
Okay.
modify the budget to pay it, I'm opposed.
Okay. And I didn't, well, I think we had 3 in the majority. Chuck, I didn't get your vote.
Oh, I thought you heard me. I'm opposed to that.
Okay, so just so we make sure we have, that was 3-2. Okay, so that does pass for this year. Okay. Now we will get to resolution 2021 -XX, which is to support the Western PA Conservancy. So as I said, I'm actually going to
No,
read this.
hang on a
Oh,
second.
Yeah, Dave, go ahead.
I want to ask the manager there, if we don't have a line item for it in the budget and we're spending the money, are we going to transfer the money? I mean, I'm not opposed to Spring Creek Watershed Commission, but I just want to make sure we're doing this correctly.
It can be in unencumbered funds. For $267, we don't need to reopen the budget for that amount. I just wanted to make sure that we were being very transparent in the fact that that was cut and it will be covered through unencumbered funds.
Well, if we vote to unencumber the funds to do it, then I would vote for it, but however the board wants to do it.
Oh, and I think
That vote's over.
that specifically wasn't said in the motion, but that's the way in which it would be paid. Is that correct, Denise?
Yes.
Do we?
All right, well, then I will remain as a no.
Okay, all right. And then for the budget for this coming year, we're just going to have to remember to include that line item. Okay, so we are at the Spring Creek Watershed Commission, it's Western PA Conservancy. Okay, so I'm going to read this resolution just to make sure everybody understands what this is. This is a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Halfmoon Township, Center County, Pennsylvania, supporting the efforts of Western Pennsylvania Conservancy and partners. Whereas the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, in cooperation with partners, is applying for a rivers conservation planning grant to update the Juniata Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the grant will allow WPC to investigate the existing natural, cultural, and socioeconomic resources within the watershed, to document issues and concerns of the community, and to recommend methods to conserve, enhance, and restore significant resources of the watershed. And whereas the Juniata Watershed Management Plan update will help improve the overall health of the watershed as a whole, taking into account not only water quality issues, but also the economic, biological, recreational, historical, and social aspects of the watershed. Now be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Halfmoon Township, Center County, Pennsylvania, supports the efforts of Western Pennsylvania Conservancy and its partners in applying for a rivers conservation planning grant for the Juniata River watershed. Resolved and adopted, blah, 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 today, February 25th. So I wanted to make sure, because again, we could talk about it, but it was just as easy to read that. And then there's also a letter of support that goes along with it that pretty much says that those same things, that we support those efforts. And that goes to the Pennsylvania Conservancy. So if we want to start that motion to have the discussion for both,
I'll move the resolution.
Okay, thank you. And the letter of support, can we do those together, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve the resolution 2021XX and the letter of support for Western PA Conservancy and Partners. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Patty. Is there any discussion? Or questions? Denise, just a quick thought. How did this come to us?
Yes, so I'm sorry. So the Miss Faribaugh contacted us. We are part of the Juniata watershed. In fact, almost all, I believe all of Halfmoon Township is in it. And they have a watershed management, almost. They have a watershed management plan that was completed in 2000. It is due to be updated, and they will be applying for a grant to do so. In our letter of support and approving the resolution, it does not require us to provide any financial support, but their grant does require that so many of the municipalities provide a letter of support in order that they can get the grant funds.
Right.
This would just be sending that letter of support and approving the resolution.
Lovely. Thank you. Are there any other questions or discussion? Great. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful. That's everybody. Thank you all. We have another agenda item, which is a letter of support to Governor Wolf. And this is in regards to including fire personnel as designated to be eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine under the phase 1 of the vaccine distribution.
We need a motion on this?
Yep.
Yeah, I move that we approve the letter of support for fire personnel as phase 1A for the COVID-19 vaccination protocol.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
For purpose,
What was that, Dave?
I was gonna say for purposes of discussion, I'll second.
Oh, okay. Now we have discussion. Are there any questions or discussion around this?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
For phase 1A, I guess fire personnel, what's the status of ambulance personnel as well? Are they included with the fire personnel or not?
They'd be considered medical, wouldn't they?
They are actually part of 1A. What is
Okay.
happening is local police,
So they're already part of 1A,
Mm-hmm.
apparently.
right, but
Ambulance,
not
yeah.
fire personnel or local police.
Gotcha. So our EMS folks are already covered, it sounds like. Okay.
All right. Well, I didn't want to leave anybody out, so.
Yeah. Any other questions or discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I want to make sure, opposed say no. Okay, it looks like it passes. Great. And then we have another item here. This is coming from the Council of Governments General Forum, which was forwarded to all municipalities. And this is to approve the appointments and reappointments to the Center Region Code Board of Appeals. I think if I recall, this came to us last year sometime for a little bit of discussion around, and Dave, I think you had some questions around the types
Well, they
of.
reduced the size of the board. I
Yes,
think.
yes. So this came about, maybe when the committee structures were being discussed. So this is now done, and those committee structures were restructured. And this is the new Board of Appeals, down to 7 people. And their terms are going to start to be staggered. So those were the 2 largest items from this. So it just is for us to discuss if we have any questions, concerns that we want to forward back to the general forum.
We supposed to vote on that or just pass it on?
I think we vote on it, if I'm not mistaken, Denise?
Yes, we're going to
Yeah.
need to appoint these members for the terms listed below.
So we will approve that Halfmoon Township says that we agree with this, and then it's going to go back to the general forum at next month's meeting to then appoint these folks.
Is there anybody there from Halfmoon Township that's on the board?
I don't recognize the names. The only way I only recognize them because I've seen them before through the COG, but I don't recognize these. Does anyone else know?
Yeah, I don't.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. And I can't remember because I think we did get some information about these folks, like I said, back when we talked about it, but I don't remember where they lived or where they
It's
were
more
from.
professional than, okay.
Yes.
Well, I move we approve the people for the modification.
Thank you, Dave. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions or discussion around this Board of Appeals?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed is no? Okay, great. That will be forwarded back on to the general forum for next month's meeting. We are done with the main business. We are down to department reports. So hopefully the board has had an opportunity to take a peek at those department reports. And this is an opportunity, other than Denise, if you want to say specific things about your report, if you have any questions about the treasurer, zoning, building code, public works, or the budget information. Anyone have any questions?
I have a question for Denise because I assume Scott Brown's not there. How's our road crew holding up and how's our soul holding up?
So I'll just to kind of go through the reports, I will let you know that the treasurer's report is being emailed out to everybody in addition to every Friday before the meeting. And Brett has been fantastic about highlighting anything that you might want to know or any points that might come up as questions. So he's anticipating that and sending those out. There's no tax collector report for January because there's no tax collection for that. Building and zoning report is just very standard. We're not seeing anything much going on during the winter. The public roads, I have to say that they have been phenomenal. I know a lot of people, get frustrated when it's snow time and that plow comes through and plows in your driveway. But I have to say they have been great about getting out and communicating to me, even as the manager. We're ordering another load of anti-skid and we're checking on the roads this morning. I think one of the things that we're struggling to communicate to residents as I'm getting phone calls in about different things is that they're plowing off of the pavement. And I want to remind people that there is a township right of way. So we have 50 feet of road as our right of way for most of the roads. And that's 25 feet from the center. So what ends up happening is a lot of people will plant grass right up in that buffer. And the plows will come through. They can't always see where the edge of the road is. And in doing so, we're also doing that because there's drifting. I don't know if anybody's driven on 550, which isn't ours to plow. That's a state route. But if you come in through 550, you'll see some of that drifting occur. They're pushing that back for that reason. So I ask everybody, please be patient with us. I know it's been a difficult winter and the guys have been great about getting out. There were 8, I believe, winter events just in the last month, possibly 9 now. So they've been wonderful and I can't thank them enough. And I can't thank the public for the compliments that we do receive. They're very appreciated.
Denise, let me rephrase my question, I guess. The reason why I'm asking how we're holding up with Salt and Anaskid is because I know at least 3 years we got clobbered in March heavily. And
Bite your tongue, Dave.
Well, yeah, I want to, but
knock on wood.
I got to be a realist.
I know.
Yeah,
and I also know that one of the other townships I talked to, they're getting low on material, and I just want to, I'd rather have it sitting there in the shed, not need it, than get slammed on March 10th and not have enough anti-skid and salt with a heavy storm or something.
We just had 2 loads of anti-skid delivered yesterday, I believe. So we're doing okay on that. And we're actually, we're loaded. We're good to go. We're not having any supply chain issues with that right now.
Good.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Yes. For the manager's report, if there's no other questions on
Roads.
the roads, yes. I would like to note a couple of things. We did send out another rebid for the bituminous materials and equipment that was re-advertised and we didn't receive anything back. So at this point, we are able to just contract out whatever we need for anything that wasn't bid. I will note that because of the bidding limitation increase to, I believe it's 21,000, it's really increased over the years. We may not need to bid this out next year. We'll be keeping track of what we use this year, and we may not need to do a material bid next year, depending on how much we spend and how much we use. So
Lovely.
that might save us some money in advertising costs for next year.
Sure.
It should be noted that the Dry Hollow property has been added as publicly accessible forest land. There is a link there for the story. And I know Deb Nardone has been touting it and been very proud of it. We're all very proud of it. So please note that that is now a piece of additional protected land within Halfmoon Township.
Nice.
The executive director of the COG, Eric Nuremberg, has sent out to the board members a link containing an electronic survey regarding the COG's mission statement and values. They'll be developing that. That was sent out on February 17th, if you're checking your emails. That is a live survey and going on until March 6th. So far, nobody's responded from Halfmoon Township. Oh, yay.
I just did it today.
Okay, I just got an email from Eric today stating that nobody was there and he asked for a reminder. If you would like a paper version of that, I can print that out. And if you return it to me before March 6th, I'll send it to make sure that it's entered into the system.
Can I speak to that 1 second since I did just do it?
Yes.
Mission and vision statements are always a PIA, a pain. But I do highly recommend all of the board to please go to that link, check your February 17th email from Eric Nuremberg, go and fill it out. It's really not that bad. Here's 3 different versions of a mission statement. Do these speak to you? Are they okay? Here's 3 different versions of a vision statement. What do you think? Is it any good? Whatever. Give your feedback, please, because when we have to discuss the COG and what it is and its purpose, I think our valuable feedback in that to make some easy statement that means something, it is valuable. So if you could please go and do that, and I'm sure Eric would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Another thing to note is we completed, I wouldn't say completed, we began the process of our audit with the CPA firm, with Meyer Dussel. We will have that completed and they'll be coming to the board to provide information on that audit. I have to say it has been great this year. I've really enjoyed it. We've had some fantastic suggestions and compliments. So we're looking forward to letting the board know how that went. All of the administrative offices and now Public Works have received all of the phones and all of the computers that were purchased as part of the CARES grant. So we are now fully mobile. It's been fun. It's very nice to have new stuff and be able to work remotely even right now.
Excellent.
We received a subdivision plan that you'll be seeing in the future, just something to note. And the Wilson plan that was approved on February 28th was conditionally approved. We were granted a 90-day time extension. There is a technical deficiency in the sewage planning module, but unfortunately, with the way the weather's been, with the exception of Wednesday, we haven't been able to get anybody out there to do any of the pit testing. So just making a note that that has actually been, the time extension has been granted, and we'll keep you updated on that. And then lastly, the free little pantry that we have been working with the Boy Scouts on, I will let you know the donations. We cut those off on Monday. We'll be contacting the Boy Scouts to take an inventory. I will note that we've had some residents even provide gift cards as donations, which has
Fabulous.
just been wonderful. Again, this community is amazing. And at any time of need, people are really good about getting that to the community. So we'll be taking an inventory and working at the next steps. That free little pantry, when completed, will be in the municipal park and available to anybody who might be hungry and just needs something to stop and get some dinner.
Fantastic. What a great project. Love it. Does anyone have any questions for Denise about anything she reported on? All right, seeing none, we will move along then to the supervisors' reports, and we'll just head down the list here, or if we want, we can go one at a time as well, however you want to do it. Who would like to go first?
Well, I'll go first because I've had nothing since our last general forum meeting. So
Okay.
I don't have anything to report.
Well, that makes it easy.
And next week is the busy week though. So.
Yeah. Patty.
I haven't had anything either since general forum. I think everything was pretty much covered there. The main thing for finance and facilities has been the Whitehall Regional Park discussions on that. And, but also things are moving forward with facilities with our new facility coordinator. He's been great and continues to really push things and also be very helpful and also saving money with a lot of the bid reviews and things. But and I think that's all. And then open space, we're still working on coming up with the evaluation for permanent easement purchases. So I think that covers all of mine.
Lovely. And let's see, about the same thing. Most of the updates for the committees that I'm on happened at the general forum meeting. I just wanted to remind everybody here, if those people who don't join the general forum meeting every month and may not be aware, I was on the committee to select the new SCLO library director. And we, at the general forum meeting, confirmed the appointment of Lisa Rives Collins. She has been working with the library and working with Kathy Alloway for quite some time now. And it was a wonderful process. There was an external candidate as well as Lisa, and we confirmed her appointment. So she's going to be taking over as of April 3rd as the SCLO library director. So just wanted to highlight that. And another thing that I do want to highlight. So I'm on a couple different committees who are related. The Public Services and Environmental Committee, the TLU Committee, they're joining forces. So possibly next month, Dave, I think you're the representative for TLU. You probably won't be needed there any longer because they're joining those, and we're going to have one representative from each municipality for that joint committee now. Okay. So that's still in the works. but I'll let you know. I think March 4th is the next meeting, so I didn't know if you planned on attending that or not.
All depends.
What was that, Dave?
I said it all depends.
Yeah, I know, but what I guess what I'm saying is it's okay if you don't, because I'll be there and I can continue being that representative on that joint committee as well, if you want that to happen.
Which two are they combining?
Transportation and land use, and public services and environmental. So we had a joint meeting in early February. The next meeting is March 4th. And at that meeting, the goal is to choose the new membership for the one group going forward. Because originally they were thinking, well, let's just join and meet together for a while. Meanwhile, that's like 12 people. We're like, we don't need that many people to continue that. So at this next meeting, we're going to choose the membership to move forward so we can streamline that. And then the Climate Action and Sustainability Committee is a brand new committee. And what I want to bring to this group and to any of our residents watching, this stems from a lot of work around reducing greenhouse gas emissions and how climate changes may be affecting us. And we all know those are big, huge, complex topics. And it doesn't often seem like we can relate on an individual level to some of these things. But what I wanted to share is the work that Pam Adams is doing as the sustainability coordinator. She's doing such an amazing job of translating these complex topics into digestible, understandable, and relatable information that I wanted to share that with you. There is a website, and the reason I'm also sharing is because there's a survey, a public survey that's going to be going out soon. And if the more people that can take that survey, the better. So what I wanted to do, and I put it in the chat here, there is a website, an outreach website that was created called centersustains.com. It is a wonderful source to try and glean how climate is affecting us right here in Center County. So there's access to information, access to resources, access to data that is pertaining to the center region that is of interest. So I highly recommend just perusing the site, just get a little bit of sense of what this is all about. Because before I started getting involved in this committee, it's just hard to get your head around what kind of topics are we talking about and how does it really relate to me on an individual level. And the survey also speaks to that. So the survey kind of gets some of your thoughts on various aspects of sustainability and climate. And it also kind of relates it to you as an individual in your daily life. So I find both of those things would be valuable for any resident to just peruse, take a look at, and see what's happening in our region. So I just wanted to share those. And on that website, you can put your email address and be emailed the survey once it's available in April. There's also going to be a postal mailing that goes out, but it's only going to go out to about 3,000 Center Region residents. Any questions about that? That's all I had for my reports. And I just want to make sure, I do see there's a couple residents. I just wanted to give an opportunity if you were here just to listen and participate, or if you had any other comments or questions before we end the meeting, because I think we are done with our business for this evening. Galen, I see that you took your mute off. Do you have a question or comment? Can't hear any. I don't hear anything though.
I don't have any comments.
Okay.
He's having audio problems.
Maybe. Can you put something? Can he put something in the chat? Is he allowed? I don't remember if participants can chat.
Yes, you can. If Galen, if you'd like to say something, I see he took off mute too. If you want to put something in the chat, we can answer that way. If not, he can always email me whatever questions or comments. Oh, yes.
Oh, there we go. Is the fire tax new this year? Yes, it is, Galen. When we were going through the budget, every year we participate, we send money to, we have a contract actually, an agreement with the fire protection services that support Halfmoon Township. And in the past couple of years, we have increased that because of the hardships that they have. So we have actually given more than our sort of agreed upon amount. And one of the things that is still unsure about fire protection services in general is the funding for those services. And part of the responsibility of a board of supervisors is to ensure the safety, public safety of the residents. And we always want to make sure that we are able to do that. And so that's why we did decide during the budgeting season to create a special tax levy specifically for the fire protection services. And I see Virginia said she's just here watching Democracy in Action. Thank you, Virginia. Galen, did you have a follow-up, or seems to be a lot to start? We could probably speak to that. I can't recall. It definitely, Denise, do you know off the top of your head the amount that we pay for the services and what that's covering?
If you give me just one moment,
Yeah.
I can pull up something.
Hold on one second, Galen.
Okay. So we pay right now 0.255 mils of assessed real estate value for Warriors Mark Franklin Fire Company. And we pay 0.595 mils of assessed real estate value for Port Matilda Fire Company. And that's coming out of the general fund currently. So let me grab the.
And that is that our contracted amount? I'm trying to think of how that translates into the dollars.
Yes. So right now that's 0.85 mils that comes out of the general fund to pay contracted fire services. We implemented a 1.7 mil tax. So it's basically we're doubling what we're currently taking out of the general fund. We're taking half of that out of the general fund and creating it into its own fire protection. It should be noted that we also are entertaining their equipment request.
Mm-hmm.
We came up with 34% of Warriors Mark Franklin, I'm sorry, of Port Matilda's, Port Matilda's request. And that is for new oxygen tanks, for training, for new hoses, anything that they need. We can cover that. Warriors Mark Franklin did not provide a request in time. The 34%, by the way, comes from the fact that we pay 34% of their workers' comp. Warriors Mark did not come up with a request in time. So the board agreed to $7,100 in the budget for them. However, their request came after the budget approval and it was near $100,000. So obviously we're not even touching the amount that's actually needed in fire protection.
Is there anything else related to that, Galen, that you'd need?
And 0.85 times 3 would be 2.55, but it's a 1.7.
Yes. So Galen, you said 3 times. It's actually 2 times. And I wish we could hear you. I'm not sure what's happening.
And also, I mean, part of that was so we had a fund, like Denise said, to help with equipment. And also at some point, if there has to be paid services, we're also trying to prepare for the future so we can provide that protection and not have to scramble. And
yeah, as we're connected with
fund.
as we hear from COG and the other fire protection services in our region in Pennsylvania, we're trying to prepare for what may be coming. So that's one of the things that we're looking at, because if the state decides to make all paid fire protection, then we would be scrambling to try and make sure that you're all protected as residents. Okay. And we do see your comment, Galen. Absolutely.
With the township taxes, the last time was at least 10 years ago, 10 to 11 years ago, that taxes went up in the township. So that's part of the issue too, because costs go up.
Yes, for such a long period of time of not having taxes increased, unfortunately, when it's a need, it's a bigger gap to fill.
I think it's also fair to remind folks that we are also residents and we raise taxes on ourselves.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a difficult decision that none of us wanted to make, but given the financial constraints of the municipality and wanting to have a future where we weren't totally cash strapped, it just had to be done, unfortunately. And we can also add, or I'll also add, that we took at our budget with a meat cleaver. And Denise, do you remember how much we hacked out of the budget before we then even started discussing raising taxes?
I don't know the percentage. I know that we had, I believe it was over $300,000 that we had to try to cut, but I don't know the percentage offhand.
Yeah, but we got more than 50%
Mhm.
of that number came from just budget cuts. So.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Anything else for the good of the order? All right, seeing none, our next regularly scheduled supervisor meeting will be held on Thursday, March 11th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Check the website for calendar for information. Thank you all for attending and have a good weekend. Meeting adjourned.
Night, thanks, Danelle.
Good night.
Right.